you recently started using Dubsado and have absolutely no clue about how invoicing works with Dubsado? Or maybe is it some time that you have been using it but are unsure if you are using it to its full potential? Or is it that you're overwhelmed with Dubsado invoicing and are now using an external payment gateway? If that's you, today's video is all about invoicing with Dubsado. Hi, I'm Deepti, a certified Dubsado specialist. I talk about client experience, workflows, and of course, Dubsado. In today's video, we are talking about how to create one-time invoices, hourly invoices, recurring invoices in Dubsado, how to send invoices to your clients and accept payments, and we'll end the video with my two favorite secret tips, so stay tuned until the end. Now, before we begin today's video, let's first understand how our invoice is created inside Dubsado. There are mainly three ways. Number one is via a proposal. As soon as you send someone a proposal and the lead selects a package, an invoice is automatically created inside the client project. The other popular way is using a paid scheduler. The third way that we would be discussing in great depth about is creating manual invoices inside client project inside Dubsado. Now let's begin with the third point. In order to create a manual invoice, you first have to have a client project inside Dubsado. It can be created via a lead capture form or using the new project option from here. Once you have a client project inside it, you simply have to open up the project, go to the invoices section. There will be a few set default values like invoice number, title, date, but let's focus on the main 2-3 important points here. Number one is adding the line item. You can either pick one from the packages if you have set packages inside Dubsado, or you can create a new line item from here. Simply add in the details, add the item, and it is now part of your invoice. Now, you would want to decide how do you want your client to pay this. There are multiple options. If you have a payment plan, that is, you have multiple options to choose from. For example, I currently have pre-booking option wherein I make my client pay a 20% deposit in order to book a spot and then divide the rest of the payment in two equal installments to be paid afterwards. Another popular method is 50-50 and pay in full options. Now, if you don't have a payment plan already there in Dubsado, you can create a new installment plan. I'm creating a new one for your reference. I'll simply decide on which date I would want that invoice to be paid, to how much amount would be paid when. Let's say I want 100% to be paid in advance, add reminders if needed, and I'll click on add installment. So this is the very first installment, 100%, which is now added to the invoice. And that's it. You have already created a one-time invoice in Dubsado. Now let's say you're working on a client project on an hourly basis and you want to bill the client accordingly. How do you do that? How do you track the time and how do you convert it into billable hours and send it to client? It's very easy with Dubsado actually. All you need to do after moving me a little up is click on utilities, go to time tracker, and as here you can see there are some little options to fill in before we start actually the time tracker. Let's say I want my consultation hours to be billed. I'll add in the details, select the project I want to add this invoice to, invoicing with Dubsado. It has automatically picked up the invoice number. I'll add in the description if needed. I'll add in my hourly rate, let's say 100 rupee per hour. Tax items if needed, categories, let's say consultation call. You can add it or let it go as you wish. And I'll go ahead and click on this time tracking button. It has now started recording the time. I can go ahead, work wherever I want to, researching, creating resources, or maybe engaging with clients or doing the actual project. Once you are done, simply come back to this window, stop the timer, and there you go. It has calculated the time and build this section accordingly. It is 2 rupees for me right now. Once I'm done, you can actually add multiple time stamps to this item. If you want to add more time to this line item, I'll go ahead and I'll click on this play button. It will again restart the timer and add in the next number of minutes and hours to it. And once I'm done, I'll again come back and I'll stop it. So you see, this is all being added to only one single item. You can do this for multiple projects simultaneously as well. Now, let's say I want to send this to my client to be billed for this month. I'll click on apply to invoice, and now I'll go to the project, open up the invoice section, and you will see it already there in the invoices window, of course. You see, it has automatically created all of the details. And now I would love to add a payment plan so that my client knows what to pay when. So I'll click on the pay in full option. And here is another way my invoice is ready to go for me to accept payments now. Now, let's talk about creating recurring invoices. This is especially handy if you are working with monthly retainer clients, let's say social media management, or for monthly maintenance, or if you are an OPM or a VA. So, you have clients who you work with on a monthly basis and have set packages for. To create a recurring invoice, I'll go to recurring invoices section, add a recurring invoice in here, add the amount, the month, the start dates on. I want to send this invoice to my client on the first of every month. So I'll start the invoice from 1st of June. And you can add an end date to this invoice. This is needed if you are working, let's say you are doing a quarterly maintenance. So let's say this will automatically stop itself after 3 months. Or if you are doing yearly maintenance, for example. But if there is no set date, don't add an end date to it. Now once that's done, you have to add a line item. You can either go ahead and create a new line item from the button here, or again go back and pick one from the packages. Again, either pick a payment plan or create a new one. Once that's done, I'll simply go ahead and I'll start the recurring. And that's it. You have created a recurring invoice, and the client will now be receiving a monthly invoice on the first of every month until you stop working with your client, or eventually the package updates, upgrades, or many such things happen. Okay, coming to another scenario, let's say you have stopped working with a client or you are moving them to a different package, and now this recurring invoice would no longer be in purpose. What do we want to do is click on this end recurrence button so that your client won't receive another invoice after you have completed the work, and you can check it from the invoice list as well. As you can see, this shows what the amount is, what the primary invoice is. Since we haven't sent a recurring invoice yet, hence it's not here as another invoice number. Now you have created an invoice. How do you send your invoice to your client so that they can pay you? Very simple indeed. You have to click on this send button. This will give you multiple options to choose from. We'll pick via email. Now that automatically creates an email for you with the default email template. You can change this up, spice it a bit, make it a little more professional, add your email signature of you can use a smart field as well. Let's say I want to add my email signature from here, or if you want to use a canned email from this button, you have all of the options to choose from. Once you are done, simply go ahead, send this to your client, and now your client will receive an email with the pay now button, and that's it. You're sorted. Now it's time for my two favorite secret Dubsado hacks. Here you go. Number one, you have to integrate Dubsado with either of the three payment merchants, PayPal, Square, and Stripe, before you can actually receive payments via Dubsado. But what if you are not using these three platforms, or are probably in a country, let's say, that does not have such an option, or you simply choose not to use these three platforms because you don't prefer it? What can we do instead? There's a quick hack. So we'll go to the settings option, go to the receive money option, and click on invoices. In here, you will see there is a button called edit terms. This gives you the option to add text or links to top or bottom of your invoice. What I did before I started accepting payments in Stripe is I used to add my bank account details. On the top of it, I said, please check the section for the account details. And in the bottom part of the invoice, there used to be my bank account details so that it was easier for my client to find, add me to their bank account transaction history, and complete the payment. Tip number two is Dubsado's most awaited feature, the AutoPay option. Now, AutoPay is basically your client's account being deducted with the set amount on the set date that you have decided for, agreed on, once your client has opted in for auto payments. Especially helpful when you're working with retainer clients or projects that have set due dates for payment completion. Now, in order to use the autopay feature, there are mainly three basic criteria you have to remember. One, your client has to opt in themselves for the autopay option. There is no other way around. You cannot do this on their behalf. Number two, you need to have multiple payments for the client to be opting in for autopay. If it is a one time invoice, they'll not be shown the autopay feature. Number three, the autopay feature only works if you have set amounts for definite dates. So, for example, for recurring invoices, since we are actually asking for payments on 1st of every month, you can easily go ahead and ask your client to opt in for the autopay feature, and henceforth they'll be automatically deducted like from their bank account the amount that you both have agreed on. Or if it is a one time project, let's say, and you bill your clients for 1 month's work on 1st and 15th of the month of June, let's say, since you have set dates and set amounts, specific amounts, you can easily ask your client to complete the very first payment, and for the second payment select the autopay feature so that the second installment is automatically deducted from their account. If you have any questions around AutoPay or invoices or Dubsado in general, please feel free to ask a question in the comments below or send me a DM on Instagram. My link is there in the description below, and I'd be really happy to assist you on priority. And that's it. I hope you liked today's video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up. And also, because it's my very first ever YouTube video on my channel, I would really appreciate it if you could drop me a few motivating words. Remember to join my free Facebook community for Dubsado beginners and follow me on Instagram, wherein I share frequent Dubsado tips, hacks, what I do, and behind the scenes. That's it for today. Hope you have a great week ahead. Take care. Bye.